She arrived at the station while the sky was still the color of bruised lavender, a cold mist hanging low over the empty parking lot. Her suitcase wheels clicked against the uneven pavement as she walked toward the benches lined beneath the flickering lights. She told herself she felt nothing, but her chest felt tight, as if the air itself resisted her decision to leave. She sat down, gripping her bus ticket with fingers that wouldn't stay still. Today was supposed to be the day she disappeared from this town and everything it had taken from her. She looked at the distant road, barely awake, and whispered to herself, "Just a few more minutes. Then this is all behind me." Saying it out loud made it feel almost real, though the weight in her throat refused to lift. Her bus was scheduled to arrive at dawn. She had planned every detail, what she would take, whom she would not say goodbye to, and how she would never look back. She had convinced herself that she owed this town nothing, that no memory here deserved another moment of her life. Yet, as the minutes passed, she felt her resolve flicker, like a candle caught in an unsteady wind. A soft shuffling sound broke her thoughts. She glanced to her left, expecting maybe a stray dog or someone crossing the lot. But instead, she saw a small shape moving carefully through the pale mist. A boy, no more than 7 or 8, walked toward her with hesitant, uneven steps. His clothes were dirty, his hair tangled, and his eyes looked far too old for his small, frightened face. She straightened, unsure if he was lost. He stopped a few feet away, staring at her as if unsure whether he was allowed to get closer. She lifted her hand slightly in a gentle gesture. "Hey," she said softly. "Are you all right?" The boy didn't answer. He glanced over his shoulder, a quick, terrified motion, then took one step closer. His voice, when it finally came, was barely a whisper. "Please don't let him take me." Her heart lurched. She leaned forward, stunned. "What?" He moved closer until he stood right in front of her knees. His small fingers reached for her coat, gripping the fabric as if it were the last thing keeping him from drowning. "Don't let him take me," he repeated, trembling. She blinked, her voice catching. "Sweetheart, who?" The boy's eyes darted past her, toward the entrance of the station. She turned her head slowly. A tall man stood near the doors, scanning the benches with a tense, irritated expression. His gaze slid over the area once, then again, sharper the second time. When his eyes found the boy, the man's shoulders stiffened. The boy's grip on her coat tightened painfully. "That's him." She swallowed hard. Every instinct inside her fought in different directions. She could get up, walk away, tell herself this wasn't her responsibility. She had spent years drowning in guilt and carrying pain she never learned how to release. Helping someone had cost her before. She had promised herself she wouldn't get involved in anyone else's life ever again. But the fear in the boy's voice pierced straight through her. The man began walking toward them, his steps confident, almost casual. But there was something in the way he moved that unsettled her. He didn't look like a worried guardian. He looked like someone who believed nobody would challenge him. When he reached them, he forced a polite smile. "There you are," he said to the boy. "You scared me, running off like that." Then he looked at her. "Thanks for keeping an eye on him." She didn't speak. The boy pressed against her side, shaking so hard she could feel it even through her coat. She rested her hand lightly on his shoulder, unsure if she meant it to comfort him or steady herself. "You his mother?" the man asked, eyes narrowing with suspicion. "No," she said quietly. "His aunt, then?" His smile thinned. "You know how kids are." They get dramatic. The boy whispered, "Please," without lifting his head. She forced herself to meet the man's gaze. Something in those eyes flickered in a way that made her skin tighten. She stood slowly, bringing the boy with her. "I think," she said carefully, "I need to hear from him what's going on." He seems scared. The man scoffed. "He's tired. He does this. Come on, kid. Enough of the act." The boy didn't move. His fingers curled into her sleeve as if his life depended on it. She took a small step backward. "Maybe we should call security and sort this out." The polite mask melted from the man's face. Cold irritation replaced it. "Lady, this is simple. He's coming with me." She felt her pulse thudding in her ears. Her suitcase sat a few feet away, packed with everything she planned to carry into her new life. Her bus would be here any minute. She had promised herself she wouldn't stay, especially not for another complicated situation she could never fix. But the boy clung to her arm with the same desperation she once felt when she needed someone, anyone, and
"Stay behind me," she whispered. He nodded and moved slightly behind her, still holding on. The man stepped forward again, tone sharpening. "Don't do something you'll regret." The hiss of a bus pulling into the station cut through the tension like a blade. She turned briefly. It was her bus, the one that would take her away. The man took advantage of her glance, reaching forward, but she shifted instantly, blocking him with her body. "Don't touch him." A few passengers from the arriving bus turned to look, confusion spreading. The man hesitated, noticing the attention. His jaw tightened. "Fine," he muttered. "Have it your way." He walked off quickly, disappearing behind the line of parked cars. She exhaled shakily, the boy still pressed against her. She looked at him, then at her bus. The doors opened. People began loading. The driver called out, "Last call for Willow Creek." Her future waited in that doorway. But the boy's voice, fragile as a cracked whisper, reached her again. "Please don't leave me." And her heart, despite years of trying to harden it, broke open. She let the bus doors close without her. They walked away from the station slowly, her hand resting lightly on the boy's shoulder so he wouldn't think she was letting go. The morning air still carried the chill of dawn, and each step felt like she was walking deeper into a decision she hadn't intended to make. She tried to steady her breathing, though rising questions crowded her mind with every block they traveled. When they reached a small cafe, tucked beside a row of shops, she paused. "Let's go inside," she said gently. "Somewhere warm. You look like you haven't eaten in a while." The boy nodded without looking up. Inside, the cafe was quiet, filled with the soft clatter of dishes and the warm smell of coffee. A server greeted them with a tired smile, and she led the boy to a booth near the window. He slid into the seat slowly, as if expecting someone to drag him back out. She sat across from him. "What's your name?" He hesitated. "Liam." "That's a nice name." She offered a small smile. "I'm Eva." He studied her as if trying to decide whether that name meant she was safe. His hands were still trembling, fingers tapping nervously against the table. The server returned with water, and Liam took the glass with both hands, drinking like he hadn't tasted water in hours. "Liam," she said softly, "can you tell me what happened back there?" He lowered the glass and whispered, "He's not my uncle." Her stomach tightened. "Then who is he?" "I don't know," Liam said. "He just kept showing up. At night, mostly. He'd knock on the door and talk to Mom. She always looked scared after." Eva leaned forward slightly, voice steady. "Where's your mom now?" He swallowed, eyes darting down. "She left 2 weeks ago. She said we had to hide. But I woke up and she was gone." "Gone?" Eva repeated, the word cutting painfully close to things she understood too well. Liam nodded. "I waited. I thought she would come back. But then he came instead. He kept saying he knew where she went. He kept saying he'd take me to her if I behaved. And you didn't believe him? He lied about a lot of things." Liam's voice broke slightly. "He was in our house when I woke up one night. I don't know how he got in." Eva fought a rising chill. Liam, did he hurt you? He shook his head. Not yet, but he tried to take me. Twice. He stared at his hands. I think he took Mom. The words hit Eva with a weight she wasn't prepared for. Memories she had buried years ago stirred up. Her sister's frightened voice, the helplessness of watching someone disappear into danger she couldn't stop. Her failure had shadowed her life ever since. And now here was a boy carrying the same fear. She breathed slowly. You don't have to go anywhere with him. I promise. Liam looked up, tears gathering. I didn't know who else to ask. Everyone's scared of him. You did the right thing, she said softly. You're safe with me. But even as she said it, she knew safety was slipping further away. The man at the station had backed off because people were watching, not because he intended to stop. She couldn't just walk him home or leave him with authorities without understanding what was happening. She felt that in her bones. She hesitated before asking the next question. Liam, do you know anything else? Anything your mom said before she left? Liam nodded slowly. She told me, don't trust the men who come looking. She said if she wasn't back in a few days, I had to find someone who wouldn't look away. Eva felt something inside her shift painfully. She had looked away once. She had lived with that regret ever since. Okay, she said quietly. We'll figure this out. When the server brought their food, Liam ate quickly at first, then slowed as if remembering how to enjoy warmth and taste. She watched him, feeling a mix of protectiveness and worry. When he finally lifted his head, he asked, Are you really not leaving? I'm here, she answered. For now, I'm here. He stared at her carefully. You were going to leave, though. I saw your ticket. I was, she admitted, but things change. Because of me? She inhaled deeply. Because someone needed me. Liam nodded, though the guilt in his expression softened her. She reached across the table, lightly touching his hand. You didn't ruin anything. I chose to stay. As they left the cafe, she noticed a dark sedan idling across the street. The windows were tinted and the engine hummed softly. She felt a prickling sensation down her spine. She couldn't be sure, but something about the car felt wrong. Liam, stay close, she murmured. He pressed beside her without question. She led him down a different street, pretending she wasn't checking reflections in store windows, pretending her pulse wasn't thudding faster. The sedan didn't move at first. Then, slowly, it pulled out of its spot. She increased her pace. We're taking the long way, she said lightly, though her voice was tense. Just in case, Liam didn't ask what she meant. He walked quickly, his small hand gripping hers. When they reached her apartment building, she glanced behind them. The sedan had turned the other direction, but she didn't feel comforted, only watched. Inside, she guided Liam upstairs. The hallway smelled faintly of old paint and warm dust. Her apartment was small but clean, filled with dim morning light. You can sit on the couch, she said, locking the door with steady hands she didn't entirely feel. Liam climbed onto the couch, curling slightly as if expecting someone to burst in at any moment. Eva knelt on the floor beside him. Liam, I think we need help, but not the usual kind. Not yet. Something about all this feels wrong. He nodded. Mom said they had friends everywhere. Do you know who they are? No, he whispered, but I know they're looking. Eva felt the room tighten around them. She wanted to tell him everything would be fine, but lies never made anything safer. Instead, she spoke with quiet honesty. Whatever's coming, we'll face it together. I won't let you be taken. The boy's eyes softened, a flicker of trust rising where fear had been. Promise, he whispered. Eva felt the weight of that word press into her chest. She held his small hand tightly. I promise. She didn't see the shadow outside the window. She didn't hear the soft click of a phone camera capturing the image of her front door. But someone had already found where they were. The afternoon light dimmed as clouds gathered, turning the apartment a muted shade of gray. Eva kept checking the peephole, even when she told herself nothing would happen yet. Her nerves refused to settle. Liam sat on the couch with his knees pulled to his chest, watching her quietly, sensing every shift in her breathing. She moved toward him and sat on the edge of the coffee table. Liam, I want to ask you something important, she said. I need to know if there's anyone you trust. Anyone at all. He shook his head. Mom didn't take me anywhere. We stayed inside almost every day. She kept saying we had to wait for someone she trusted, but I don't know who it was. Did she ever write anything down? Maybe leave you a note. Eva asked gently. No, he whispered. Just told me to be brave. And to hide if someone came. Eva swallowed, hearing her sister's voice in her memory, those same trembling words urging her to run when help never arrived. She pushed the thought away and placed a hand lightly on Liam's back. You're not hiding now, she said. You're with me. Do you think Mom is alive? Liam asked suddenly, his voice cracking. She wouldn't leave me unless she had to, right? The raw pain in that question struck her deeply. She took a slow breath. I don't know what happened, she said, but I think she did everything she could to keep you safe. And I think she believed someone would protect you until she came back. You, he asked. I'm trying, she said softly. A sudden knock echoed from the hallway. 3 steady taps, not loud but firm. Eva froze. Liam jolted, eyes wide with fear. Stay here, she whispered. She walked quietly to the door and looked through the people. A woman stood outside, mid-40s, wearing a weathered coat and holding a small notepad. She looked worried, not threatening. Eva hesitated, then cracked the door slightly. Can I help you? Eva asked, her tone guarded. The woman held up a badge. Karen Hayes, Child Services. I received an anonymous tip about a missing boy being kept here. I need to check on his well-being. Eva's pulse stumbled. An anonymous tip? Yes, a boy matching the description of Liam Rossi. Karen's voice remained calm. Is he here? Eva hesitated. Every instinct screamed that something wasn't right. The timing was too perfect, too fast, too precise. How did you get this address? Eva asked. As I said, an anonymous caller. Liam appeared behind Eva, peeking out from the doorway. Karen noticed him and softened her expression. Liam? Sweetheart, we've been trying to find you. You're safe now. Eva felt Liam clutch her sleeve. Don't go, he whispered urgently. That's how he talked. Like that, soft but wrong. Eva stepped forward, blocking him from view. I need proof you're who you say you are. Can you wait here while I call your office? Karen's smile didn't change, but something in her eyes hardened. Ma'am, obstructing child services during an emergency is a serious issue. Eva steadied herself. If you're legitimate, you won't mind waiting while I confirm. Karen's expression flickered. Open the door and let me in. Now. No, Eva said firmly and closed the door before Karen could react. Liam backed away, shaking. She's with them. Eva locked the door and pulled all the chains across. She moved Liam toward the bedroom. Get your shoes on, she whispered. We're leaving. Where? Liam asked. Somewhere they won't find us immediately. She gathered a few essentials, a jacket for Liam, her own backpack, a bottle of water. Her mind raced through every safe place she once knew. Only one came to mind, a small cabin her sister used to take her to when they wanted to disappear from the world. Nobody else knew about it. As she zipped her bag, a noise scraped outside the door. A soft metal click. Someone working the lock. Her breath tightened. Liam, she whispered, we're going out the back? He nodded, eyes wide but focused. She took his hand and guided him through the small kitchen toward the fire escape window. She pushed the window open, praying it wouldn't squeal. It did, but only faintly. Climb down carefully, she whispered. I'm right behind you. Liam lowered himself onto the metal steps, gripping the railing. Eva followed, closing the window behind her. As they descended, the apartment door finally gave way with a heavy crack. Voices spilled into the room. They're gone, a man's voice growled. Find them. Karen snapped, her calmness replaced by cold fury. Eva and Liam reached the alley, their breath turning sharp in the chill. She took his hand, pulling him into a run. The alleys twisted like a maze, damp and shadowed. She didn't stop until they were several blocks away, both gasping for air. Are you okay? She asked. Liam nodded shakily. They almost got us. We won't let them, she said, though her heart thudded so loudly she felt it in her throat. They reached a quiet bus stop on the edge of town. The route wouldn't take them far, but far enough to delay anyone searching. As they boarded, Liam pressed close beside her. "Eva," he whispered, "why are they after me?" She exhaled slowly. "Because you know something. Or because your mother did." He looked down. "I only remember her saying they hurt people who ask too many questions." Eva squeezed his shoulder. "We'll get answers. But first, we keep you safe." The bus rattled through the countryside, the town fading behind them. Liam rested his head against her arm, still trembling slightly. Eva stared out the window, her mind racing through every possibility, every danger, every mistake she might make. But beneath all the fear, one thing stayed steady. She couldn't abandon him, not now, not ever. After an hour, they stepped off near the old trail that led to her sister's cabin. The woods felt colder than she remembered, but isolated, untouched. Liam held her hand tightly as they walked deeper into the trees. When the cabin finally appeared between the pines, Liam whispered, "Is this safe?" "As safe as it gets," Eva said. "No one knows this place except me." Inside, the cabin smelled faintly of dust and old wood. She shut the door, locking both bolts, and lit a small lantern. Liam sat on the floor beside her bag. "Eva, do you think they're coming?" She paused. "Yes, but not tonight." He leaned against her, exhaustion finally pulling him down. She wrapped her arm around him and held him close. For the first time in years, she felt the familiar ache of responsibility she once tried so hard to bury. But this time, she didn't run from it. Outside, deep in the woods, a branch snapped. Someone was there. The snap of the branch echoed through the trees like a warning neither of them could ignore. Eva's breath shortened, her pulse tightening as she placed a hand gently on Liam's shoulder. He lifted his head slowly, reading her expression before she spoke a word. "Stay quiet," she whispered. "Don't move unless I tell you." Liam nodded, though fear flickered in his eyes. Eva stood, moving toward the window. She kept the lantern dim, barely bright enough to see her own hand. Outside, the woods swayed under a restless wind. She listened, really listened, for footsteps, voices, anything that didn't belong to the forest. The silence stretched too long, too heavy to trust. "Eva," Liam said softly behind her, "are they here?" "I don't know," she murmured, "but we're not waiting to find out." She took his hand. "We need help from someone who isn't afraid to get involved." "Like who?" "My friend Daniel," she said. "He's a journalist. He digs into things like this. And he doesn't scare easily." Liam squeezed her hand a little tighter. "Will he help us?" "He will," she said, though she felt the rising pressure of doubt. "He always shows up when it matters." She pulled out her phone, hoping there was enough service this deep in the woods. A single bar flickered at the top of the screen. She pressed Daniel's number and held the phone close to her ear. It rang twice before he answered. "Eva? It's been a long time." "Daniel," she whispered, "I need you, and I don't have much time to explain." His tone sharpened. "Where are you?" "In the old cabin off Ridge Trail." "Daniel, I'm with a child who's being hunted by a group pretending to be child services. They broke into my apartment. I don't know how far they'll go." There was a pause, long enough for her to hear her own fear. "I'm leaving now," he said. "Don't open the door for anyone but me." She ended the call and turned to Liam. "He's coming." Liam nodded, though his shoulders trembled. "What if they find us before he does?" "Then we stay quiet, and we stay together." He sat beside her on the floor. She wrapped her arm around him, and for a moment the stillness inside the cabin felt almost safe. Liam rested against her, whispering, "Thank you for helping me." "You don't have to thank me." "I do," he said. "Nobody else ever stayed." Eva's chest tightened. She brushed a hand through his hair. "You deserve someone who stays." Minutes passed, then curves of headlights moved between the trees. Eva felt Liam tense. She stood slowly, positioning herself between him and the window. The car rolled to a stop. A familiar figure stepped out. "It's Daniel," she whispered. Relief washed over her, so quickly she had to steady her breath. She opened the door, only after seeing him clearly in the porch light. Daniel stepped inside with a heavy exhale and locked the door behind him. Explain everything, he said. Eva told him everything from the station, the man, Karen, the forced entry, the chase, the woods. Daniel listened without interrupting, his jaw tightening at moments she tried to gloss over. When she finished, he knelt in front of Liam. I'm Daniel, he said gently. You did the right thing reaching out for help. Liam looked down. Are you going to make me go with them? Daniel shook his head. No one's taking you. Not while we're here. Eva felt the weight in her chest ease slightly. What do we do now? Daniel sat back on the floor, gathering his thoughts. I've heard rumors about groups posing as child services to take kids whose families are involved in investigations. If Liam's mother uncovered something she wasn't supposed to, they'd want him to disappear too. Liam whispered, Mom said they hurt people who know too much. Daniel nodded grimly. Then she likely stumbled into something dangerous, and they think Liam knows more than he does. Eva asked softly, How do we protect him? We expose them, Daniel said. But first, we get this kid somewhere safer than a cabin. A noise outside cut him off, another faint crack in the woods. This one closer. Daniel stood. They followed me. Liam gasped. Eva grabbed his hand and pulled him behind her. Daniel moved to the window, peering out between boards. How many? Eva asked. 3, Daniel said quietly. Maybe 4. They're spreading out. Eva's heart pounded. Daniel, we can't run. Liam's exhausted. We're not running, Daniel said. We're holding out until I call backup. He pulled out his phone. But the screen flashed red. No service. Eva whispered. They're jamming the signal. The doorknob rattled lightly. Liam let out a frightened breath. Eva tightened her grip around him. A voice outside called softly, Eva, open up. We just want the boy. Daniel shouted, Get away from the door. The knob shook harder. A heavy thud followed. Someone testing the strength of the wood. Eva felt Liam trembling against her. She knelt beside him. It's okay, she murmured. I'm right here. He pressed his face into her shoulder. I don't want to go. I don't want to lose you, too. You won't, she said. I'm not letting anyone take you. Daniel braced himself near the door. Another heavy slam cracked through the cabin. They'll break it soon, he said. We need a distraction. Eva stood. What can I do? Daniel pointed to the back window. Take Liam and slip out while I hold him here. Circle behind the shed. I'll draw them to the front. Eva shook her head. I'm not leaving you alone. Eva, he said firmly. If they get inside, they'll take him first. Go. Another violent hit struck the door. Liam clung to her. She made her decision in a breath. Come on, she whispered, pulling him toward the back. They climbed out through the back window. Cold air swallowed them instantly. Daniel's voice rose at the front, shouting to distract the men. Eva held Liam close as they crept behind the shed, crouching low. Then headlights flashed again, stronger this time, rolling up the dirt road. Another vehicle. Doors opened. Voices shouted. Daniel's voice broke through the chaos. State police. Drop your weapons. Eva's breath caught. Backup had arrived. Liam covered his ears as shouts filled the woods. After tense moments, everything went quiet except for the commands of officers detaining the men. Daniel appeared around the corner, out of breath but smiling weakly. It's over. Eva held Liam close. He wrapped his arms around her neck and whispered, We made it. Later, when officers confirmed Liam's mother had been found alive and recovering in protective custody, Liam refused to let go of Eva's hand. He stood with her as the night settled around them, calmer now, safer now. Eva, he whispered. Yes. Can I stay with you at least until Mom is better? Eva felt tears rise, soft and unexpected. Yes, she said, pulling him into her arms. For as long as you want. Liam leaned into her, finally free of fear, and Eva, for the first time in years, felt something new growing inside her. Purpose, hope, and the strange miracle of saving someone who saved her right back.